what I figured it would be. They're using the trees to manifest themselves. And that's pretty cool. I got this yellow thing in here to keep it on, and you can see it moving. This is right around this area right here. Dogman portal. I'm going to move around this way a little bit and over here more, and you can see it moving as well over here on this side. So this is, I'm not going to stay here long because I don't know what's going to come through if I stay here. But I wanted to share this with you. This is my little experiment, what I wanted to try to do today. And I'm hearing stuff, so right now, well, I just heard like a bark or something.
Kind of discovered that they like to hide and peek, or they like to do things behind you. They're watchers, as you know. And so I came up with a little deal where I mounted a camera on my shoulder facing backwards and would just film what was going on behind me. Yeah, and that's
that's so sneaky.
That's scary at times because,
no kidding.
You know, filming the research, it was obvious. You know, one of our goals was to try to get, you know, footage, to get video footage, which I know is, you know, one of your goals. If you could get NEPHILIM footage or some really good footage, which is just very hard to come by. And I kind of discovered that they like to hide and peek, or they like to do things behind you. They're watchers, as you know. And so I came up with a little deal where I mounted a camera on my shoulder facing backwards and would just film what was going on behind me. Yeah, and that's
that's so sneaky.
That's scary at times because,
no kidding.
You know, along with Sasquatch activity, I also caught, you know, this clip we're going to look at, which, you know, I'll let you get into that. But this you know, this thing going on behind me, phenomenon, and you know, and really totally unrelated to Sasquatch in a way, because what's going on here and what's manifesting is, you know, totally different than, you know, than the Sasquatch arena. And the one thing we had talked about, many researchers that do what I do or did, once you get into it, if you're earnestly pursuing it and you're doing the, you know, on the ground research, you're going to begin to have the other supernatural and other occurrences happen that you know, we say are unrelated to Sasquatch. It's all related, but it's not, you know, it could be UFO, it could be orbs, it could be Dogman, it could be you know, any number of supernatural or demonic activity. And so when you get into it, it's like a gateway drug to all the other things.
And a word of caution for the folks that might be watching this, you know, if you're called to it, and you're one of the few people I've met that are, I would believe, are called to what you're doing. I mean,
I agree.
I think the Lord has directed your steps to reveal this, just like he's done with me. I mean, I'm a musician. That's what I identified with, you know, before he went, okay, you're going to change careers. Like, wait a minute type of thing. But, you know, he did that like 15 years ago. And, you know, looking back at what it's not for the faint of heart. And
no.
I guess, you know, my upbringing in the New Age has sort of prepared me for what, in some ways, for what I'm doing now. But, you know, you're right. The activity from the enemy, he's just not going to sit back and allow us to peel back the layers of the onion, as it were, and expose his machinations. But you've got this clip. Is there any way that we can show it here on the Zoom channel?
Sure.
Great.
Yeah, we'll.
Let's take a look
if you'll present, and I'll walk through it here. This clip here is. I set it up just, you know, for the technology side of it. This was, you know, back in 2010, 11. Unfortunately, the camera equipment I had was, you know, 480p, so it's not high def. And I have run it through my software that I have, editing software, to stabilize it and to slow it down so it's easier to see. And so So yeah, let's see if we can get this thing to work.
Okay, so we're seeing you're in the woods, obviously. The
Mhm.
camera's pointing behind you. You can see your ear up in the top left-hand corner. Take us from there. What's going on?
Okay, so I'm actually, this is the end of the day. I'm walking out. This is in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. It's nowhere secret. It's a public place. This is a well-used trail, and I'm about a quarter of a mile away from the parking lot. And so I'm walking down this trail, and I've got the camera, facing backwards, as you can see. And as I walk by, and can you see my pointer?
Yes, I can. Yes,
Okay,
I can.
good. Good. So over here on this side of the trail, this is a solid outcropping of granite or rock, and then this little blurry thing here, I just walked by, it begins to manifest, and it's blurry, and you could argue, well, that's just the sunlight or shimmering leaves or whatever. But as I continue to walk away, we'll see here as we step through this, this thing begins to become more clear, and a event begins to happen around this sparkly thing of light. So as you can see, I'm walking away from this object, and it begins to form. And if I'll pause it here, if you notice, a bubble
Right.
begins to form right here.
And let me stop you there. It's a very definitive, clear circle. There, I mean, you can see the line, you can trace the line with your cursor. I mean,
Yep.
it's like right there. You can see it. Something is happening that's not normal. Please continue.
Sure. And as I'm walking away, like I said, this is stabilized and in slow motion. It makes it easier to see. And now this thing in the center here, is it's kneeling down. It's got arms and shoulders and a head, and you can start to see, especially right here, the event
You can see the
horizon
bubble. Yep.
is really starting to form. And then a little farther away, and again, now it's starting to really get defined. And I just thank the Lord I walked past it before it began to form, because we don't know where it leads or where it was coming from.
Hmm.
And the being, of course, inside this event, he begins to get a little sharper. Now this being never really becomes clear, and it's almost like when we get here, you could really see the edge. If I can stop it at you can
Yeah, you
really
can really
see.
see the edge. I mean, it's very plain, and
That is
it's not some sort of camera anomaly.
No,
Something is manifesting
exactly.
in this sphere. I mean, it's
Yeah,
incredible footage.
yeah, yeah, and like I said, this in here is almost like you're looking into water. And I
Yeah.
know a lot of people will harken back to TV shows, and Stargates, and so sometimes I wonder, did they have a little bit of inside knowledge that we didn't? Because they're all the predictive programming.
Well, it is. It's exactly what it is. It's getting everybody used to what's coming.
And right here is probably a really really good shot
It's a great shot.
of the event forming.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and the thing about it is, I'm walking away from this event. If it was something to do with the camera and lights and angle, I'm changing the angle as I'm walking. So some, pareidolia or some other effect, as soon as you change, the light angles and my perspective to it, they should change. This thing should go away. It should fade. And instead of fading, it's actually getting sharper. So it was really just a eye
And
opener.
and it's not moving. If it was some sort of camera anomaly, it would be bouncing up and down and moving left to right as you're walking because you can see the camera's moving, but that
Yeah.
circle is not moving. That
Yeah.
circle is definitive. It's there. Something is coming through. It's very unnerving.
Yeah. I feel very fortunate, to be honest with you, that this thing didn't come through and approach me. It just
And it's
stayed there and
becoming
watched.
sharper too. Look at it now. It's definitely
Yeah.
sharper, I should say.
Of course, if I could stop it at the right moment. There we go. at this point, it's pretty sharp, and I've got some blow-ups, and they're very interesting blow-ups of the head and face. But you can see here the creature or the entity, whatever you want to call it, seems to be on its knees, and its hands are on the ground.
Hmm.
You can see the shoulders and the head. It's got a shadow. That's the thing about it. It's actually throwing a, it's actually got shadow on its body from, so it's a solid form. And, it doesn't hardly move. At the very end, it shifts to the left, my left, its right, just a smidge. It's real hard to see, but you can see there. I'll just let it play on out. And I finally get farther away and then go around the corner. Right there, it moves just a little bit. It's hard to tell with the camera shaking.
What's amazing is it just sits there. It's not, I mean, it's almost, I've heard stories like this. There was a woman up in Canada who had a house that was like on a farm type deal, and in front of the house was this huge open field, and her neighbor was about a mile away. All right. And then behind the house was all federal land. It was all virgin forest. Okay. So she goes out on a spring morning, and it's a beautiful morning in Canada. There's no snow. She's looking across the field, and she sees her neighbor hanging up clothes on a clothesline. About 50 yards away from her, there's this low brush. So the forest goes like this and goes down into like scrub brush, and then it turns into the field. She sees, very similar to what you're doing, she sees this Sasquatch appear out of nowhere, just so slowly materialize behind this like bush. Okay. And she's just like completely dumbfounded. And the Squatch is looking across the field at the woman hanging her laundry. And she's just transfixed. And she watches this thing for a minute and two, and then it's just gone. It just, boom, it's gone. It's just unbelievable. So,
Yeah.
I mean, this is what we're seeing here. You're walking by, and all of a sudden this thing manifests. And
Yeah.
people can jump up and down and say whatever they want to say, but you've got the original footage of it. This is it. I'm looking at it, and there's a sphere there. It's the line is very definitive. You can see it, and there's a creature. Something is in it, and just from me looking at it, it's got an elongated skull.
Yeah. Let me take you through some steels that I blew up, and you'll see that it's very interesting looking. It'll look familiar. Let's say that. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, I mean it's really
Yeah.
I mean there's the circle,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I've just run it through different filters.
right.
Lots of time with this. When you're looking at pictures, when you start running negatives and different filters, if it's a real, if it's a real object, a real thing, then obviously it's going to maintain its integrity through the filters, and that's what I've done here. It's just there's a good still shot,
That's a great still shot.
and then you can see when I go into the negative, there's another really good one,
Yeah.
and then into the
Wow.
negative. Let me get down to the. You can see how I just scrubbing through a bunch of different filters. There's a really good one.
Yeah, there's the circle.
Yeah, well, let me go back. All right, so I took one of the better still shots, as you can see here, and I just blew this area up. Of course, it's going to be pixelated. It's 480p,
Yeah.
but that is basically untouched. All I did there was adjust the contrast on it and the brightness, and I ran it through a deblurring algorithm. And other than that, that is untouched. That's what was manifest.
You can see the conical head, the
Mhm.
eyes, the nose, the mouth. I mean, and it's not pareidolia. It's not the Jesus and the taco thing. It's real.
No.
This thing is manifesting, and there's a close up of the skull of the head. I mean, that's what we're looking at.
Very ghoulish.
That may be-
That's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
And then I superimposed it over an
Happens
elongated
all
skull,
the time.
and it fits pretty good. Of course, I know that this critic will say, "Well, you can make anything fit," but just to give you an example, and then when you overlay it with the skull,
Right.
it's pretty good. So that's always been my question: is what is manifesting? I don't think it's a Sasquatch, and what sort of being